Good morning from Chicago Basin. Today I'm going to be hiking Windom Peak and Sunlight Peak in reverse order actually. For a full hike review of Sunlight Peak and Windom Peak, you can check the link below. So for part one of the approach to Chicago Basin, you can also check one of these down here somewhere, and I'll show you how I got where I am right now. You can take a look around here and really get a full look of the whole Chicago Basin here. Very, very pretty. So if we're gonna name some peaks, Windom is actually this ramp right there. Although it looks smaller, it's farther back, so it is higher than everything here. This is Jupiter Mountain up here, and then this is Peak 18. So the only thing you missed from my last video on the approach to now is that there's a split and you have to take a left to go up to the Twin Lakes instead of going straight to Columbine Pass. So it's about another mile or so from where we camped, but nothing too crazy. And then we have another 6 or so round trip to go up to Sunlight and Windom and then back down to where we are. A couple of notes about these two peaks. So Windom Peak is a high class 2, so basically just walking up gravel. Sunlight Peak is class 4, but those moves don't happen until a lot closer to the summit. So it's going to be pretty mellow until you get to that final ridge line, and then they have the leap of faith, which I'll show you later obviously, and then some class 4 scrambling along the way there. Working our way up this hill to Twin Lakes. Pretty beautiful. So we kind of worked our way came from that way. Almost up to Twin Lakes. Final little push here. So you can see Elos, and then North Elos is kind of like hidden behind through this little hill here. Insane. Look at this. This is nutty. So tomorrow we're going to be heading up this way. You can see the faint trail, which works you back up that to Elos and North Elos. For today, we're going to be heading this way. Made it up to the Twin Lakes. So Sunlight is basically back this way. You can't see Windom from here, but essentially you're going to want to skirt around this and then start working your way back up that way. You can kind of see the trail right in that spot right there. In the spring and winter, obviously there'll be snow up here, so you might have to kind of use some route finding here, but right now it's dry as a bone, so we can really just follow the standard summer trail all the way up to where we're going. From a mileage standpoint, we're at like 17.5, maybe a little over that. So basically that would be from all the way from the Purgatory Creek Trail. If you're coming and getting dropped off by the train, you can subtract 9 miles from that, so basically around 9 miles. Elevation wise, we're at just north of 12,300, and we've gained about 5,200 feet, and that's the full trail. So hopefully that kind of helps put it in perspective as far as getting up to here. From where we camped to here was about 2.5 miles. Pretty awesome view here of the Twin Lakes. You can see North Elos right there. The ridge line is hidden for the most part, and then Elos is there. So it kind of gives you a perspective on how close everything is up here. Arrived to the upper basin here. So you can see Windom there, Sunlight right there. You can kind of see the path in between the spire, which is this section, and then the summit, which is that one. So you're going to want to split it right there. In terms of Windom, if you're doing Windom first, you're going to kind of work your way up and then over to the right. Since we're going to be doing Sunlight first and then crossing over, we don't have to come all the way down. We can kind of cut across this boulder field here and then hook up with the ridge somewhere up there. So again, Windom is class 2, Sunlight class 4. Here's a better look at the final section here. Some cairns, but the trail kind of goes to shit at this point. So just kind of keep that as your end goal, that ridge right there in the middle. So on the way down, we've been trying to find the crossover. I haven't really had much luck, but basically you kind of want to stay like on this shelf right here. Do not go up that. I mean, shouldn't have to say that, but don't go up that. So I think what we're going to try to do is find a spot like in this spot right here to kind of gain the ridge of Windom. On the ridge now, and then working this way. See over to Elos and North Elos, down the Twin Lakes there. I'd say overall, the gully was okay until the last quarter, and then it's pretty loose, but not too bad, all things considered. This trail is in really good shape for all the 14ers I've done so far. So looking back towards the saddle, you're gonna wanna cut across here. You can see the cairn, Nick's going there, and basically kind of go up right there as your next step. We came from right there. We've skirted across here. We believe this is the way up to the top. It's very hard to tell though. Summit is like literally right there. So we have to be super close. We're just not sure exactly the line and we don't want to cliff out, but I think we're pretty confident this is the right way. So this is why the entire route is class 4. It's this little section right here. Nick and Aaron are working their way up right now. Aaron's up there, conquered it already. Nick's gonna rip his pants open. But very solid rock. And then yeah, the summit block is right up there. And I'll show you the leap of faith too. This is an awesome view over here of this whole basin. Check out these surrounding views. Looking over to Windom Peak there. You see the whole ridge that you come up. If you went the standard way, you come a little bit more. We're gonna cut like right there. But yeah, you can see solid rock here. Not pretty, but you gotta have to navigate through these weird little cracks here. So really only like one class 4 move there. Very tiny little class 4 move. You're gonna want to locate this little chimney here, climb through this to regain the ridge. On the summit little pitch here, Aaron's on the top. So to the right of it, to right of her, you can see the leap of faith. I'll show you closer when you get up there. Looking back here, you can see the ridge line. See Windom over there. Some awesome high alpine lakes and just basically a whole bunch of untouched wilderness up here. Really, really beautiful. Nick's working up and Aaron's working down. But so this is actually the summit area. There's where the survey marker is, but that is actually the top. Woo! Sunlight Peak in the books. Never know which one's right. Jump this. In terms of the leap of faith, coming down, specifically the second gap is harder than coming up, because going up you have your gravity kind of helping you. On the way down, gravity's kind of hurting you with this gap. Specifically coming from that rock to that rock. Fucking wind, motherfucker. So even though it doesn't look like much, there's just a ton of exposure on the other side. So just really be careful with your feet placement and kind of have to commit on the way down. Hopefully the video comes through, but I ended up jumping from there to there just because it was what I kind of felt most comfortable with. Summit views here, pretty awesome. A little windy up here, but for the most part, beautiful. So it's 53 down, 7.5, oh my God, math, to go. And next up, we got Windom Peak over there. Well, I kind of gave you a lot of notes about, excuse my weird position, just trying to get out of the wind, about Sunlight Peak. As far as class 4, there's really like a tiny section. Most of it's class 3, class 2 on the approach. I wouldn't recommend a dog on this. Because of that one class 4 section, you're gonna have to carry him up it if you would bring a dog. In terms of gear, micro spikes, certainly in early season, late season, so early spring, late summer, in case there's snow. But really, all in all, a really nice hike to start the day here. One last note before we head over to Windom. So from Purgatory Trail, about 19 miles to where we are right now, 19.5 give or take. So just kind of puts in perspective how many miles it takes just to get to one peak in this basin. The crossover to Windom is a little bit like hard to find the trail, but this green rock over here, I don't know if you can see it, is kind of what you want to aim for, and then go left. So obviously we're taking a slightly different line, but you can see Karen's there, and eventually you want to kind of like work across here. You don't want to go below this rock right here. You want to stay above it, and then hit this path right here, and then gain the ridge right there. There's a ton of different routes here, so just be careful, but don't expect like a super solid crossover trail, as this isn't really a standard route. It's more of like a shortcut to not have to lose and regain elevation. Looking back at the crossover here, definitely a mess, definitely no solid trail. Reminds me of the crossover from Harvard to Columbia, if any of you have done that. So you come down the gully here. Basically we skirted down that rock right there and then kind of beelined our way across to where we are right now. From here, Aaron's pretty close to the ridge. It's like right over this little hump. And then you just take the ridge straight up to the top of Windom Peak. That is not the summit, so don't get too excited. It's a false summit. Looking back, like I said earlier, it's just kind of choose your own adventure, but this is definitely more solid class 2. And you're not gonna have anything more difficult than that from here to the summit. So just kind of keep slogging away. The notch right now. So the real summit is right up there. So I have a little tiny false one, then you have the real summit. So you can see from Aaron's hiking, picks up a little bit to higher class 2, but again, it doesn't go above that unless you want it to. So there is no trail at this point, but I think there's a lot of cairns, so just kind of try to find those. Looking back down from where we came over to Sunlight, you can see Sunlight Spire. Looks like a finger. I'm either blocking it or I'm not even close, don't know. But yeah, we're definitely all kind of mentally done at this point, so just got to stay strong until we get to the summit there. So as you can see, you can kind of make your own routes. Tons of exposure if you want it. Class 3 if you want it. Otherwise, mostly class 2. Summit of Windom Peak, 54 in the books. Give you a quick whirl around here. I am not going to stand up. I'm way too lazy, but you have awesome views anyway. High alpine lakes. Over to Sunlight, which is in a shadow right now. Looking back down the ridge line there to where we came, and then over to North Elos and Elos. Obviously I reversed them there, but you get the point. Overall, I would say that this ridge is kind of a choose your own adventure. You could stick to class 2, you could do class 3. Some exposure if you want. I mean, just kind of showing you down here. Pretty good exposure like this in sections. Overall, the rock is really solid though, so you don't have to really worry about that. Yeah, the crossover was terrible. I really had a terrible time on that. There's no trail, it's just boulder hopping, and so mentally you just don't really trust any rocks. You don't want to like sprain an ankle, break a leg or whatever, so just kind of tedious. We got 2 downstate, which is awesome. To the summit here is a little over, I believe, 21 miles, if my watch is correct. I'll have all information in the link below. About 2 miles, mile and a half from summit to summit, including the ridge, which obviously you have to do either way, so that's not extra distance there. But yeah, I'll give you one last whirl around here, and 54 in the books. Almost down from Sunlight and Windom here. You can see the whole basin in front of you. So the standard trail up Sunlight begins there, goes up. Standard trail from Windom probably begins right around there and cuts here and then goes across to the top. But anyway, you get a good idea of what the basin is here, and back down to the Twin Lakes that way. Back down to the Twin Lakes, or one of them at least. So we decided to bail on our plans of North Elos and Elos, or however you say them. It doesn't feel like we should be forcing those in today. You might be able to see there's a mountain goat right there, just hanging out. Overall, the descent from Windom Peak wasn't too bad. Pretty straightforward. I kind of showed you most of it, and obviously, back down here at the lake now. Very, very beautiful, even without the goat. The goat's just bonus points at this point. So again, if you did want to do the other 2 14ers, you'd take this trail here. I'll be showing you those tomorrow. Overall, pretty good hike. Definitely taxing, definitely takes a good chunk of the day. We did Sunlight first and then Windom. I'd recommend it in that order because you get kind of the technical Sunlight out of the way, and then Windom is a lot more mellow. So you use your energy on the part where you really need to be more focused and a little bit more technical. But you can do them either way, as long as you connect that boulder field. So yeah, that wraps up these 2 14ers, Sunlight Peak, right behind me there, which is actually still in the sun, and Windom Peak. If you missed part 1 of this video, you can check the link below. It basically says how I got here to begin with. And then part 3 will be North Elos and Elos Peak tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe to not miss any future hike reviews. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. Comment below if you have any questions about Chicago Basin or this hike specifically, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Thanks for watching.